right, Joel, we got.
Yep.
You look.
Well, hello. Wow, good to have you with us on Red Barn Radio again. I'm Bradford Becker. Tonight we begin our 22nd season of Red Barn Radio. We're very excited about this. We welcome you to show number 826. And our guest to begin this new season is Chris McGinnis. Chris grew up in Western North Carolina, and after high school, he attended the University of North Carolina in Asheville, majoring in jazz studies with a minor in creative writing. He then went a couple hours up the road to Boone, where he kind of flip-flopped things, went all out with writing and minored in jazz studies there. But it was at Appalachian State where Chris found his voice as a storyteller and further developed his songwriting craft. In 2019, he released an EP called Songs for You and spent time during 2021 working on a series of songs which would become his debut full-length album called Mamaw's Angel. Welcome, Chris McGinnis.
Thank you, sir. He's thinking about San Francisco again. When he was her lover, she was his friend. He was her chance to start all over again. She was what kept him alive. Empty stomachs kept their minds in check. His arms round her waist, her lips on his neck. In passion's embrace, no one did suspect. Their love would go out with the tide. He was from a small country town. She had no home, she moved all around. They both traveled out west at the speed of sound. California is where their paths collide. They wandered on across rolling hills, fueled by desire and in search of cheap thrills. With a billowing fire and a lifetime to kill, they sauntered off into the dark. In impetuous force, living life with no remorse. Is easily derailed with just a twist in the tracks. His job fell through the roof, did too. They lost hold of the love that's true. Now he's alone, she's with someone new in a house across the bay of San Francisco. jump on a cargo freighter. That late shift son, it got later and later, trying to deconstruct everything that made her want to leave him and start another life. But he saw it from the wrong point of view. They'd crumble at some point, that much she knew. So she did what most like-minded people would do. When there's an earthquake coming for your life. More or less, she was happy here too. She had beautiful children and beautiful shoes. And though she was grateful, her husband still knew her heart was somewhere else. Further on, with the passage of time, they loosened their grips, slowly resigned to a life with less color, a simpler design. New England is where he now resides. Each day passes by. We live, we die, we lose those we love, and then we try to carry on. He's in his home, he's all alone. He hears the ringing of a phone. Those past 60 years, brother, they're gone. All thanks to a call from San Francisco. All thanks to a call from San Francisco. San Francisco.
Good evening and welcome to Red Barn Radio. Wherever in the world you're listening, welcome to Roots Music Southern Style. Thanks to WEKU, Red Barn Radio's official radio partner, NPR for Central and Eastern Kentucky. Listen online at weku.org. Red Barn Radio is supported by Visit Lex, Lexington, Kentucky's Convention and Visitors Bureau. More information on what Lexington has to offer is at visitlex.com. Lex Arts, Lexington, Kentucky's premier cultural development, advocacy, and fundraising organization, working for the development of a strong and vibrant arts community as a means of enhancing the quality of life in Central Kentucky. Follow Red Barn Radio on Twitter and like us on Facebook. Here's the host of Red Barn Radio to tell us more about tonight's performers.
Our guest this evening on Red Barn Radio is North Carolina native Chris McGinnis. This I quote from his website. Chris McGinnis writes songs that exist somewhere between a hiccup and a heartache. Through tales of stolen Winnebagos and hip-shaking grandbabies, Chris's music is Appalachian absurdity for the 21st century. Chris is joined on stage this evening by Chandler Bell on bass and Joel Nelson on fiddle. Great to have you all with us to kick off Red Barn Radio's 22nd season. Welcome back, Chris McGinnis.
This next song is a bit of an epic. Details the virtues and vices of seeking validation via the virtual realm. It's about fiscal irresponsibility, disappointing your grandparents, and drinking too much coffee, all in about 3.5 minutes or less. It's called Mamaw's Angels. Faded memories that he swipes and double taps, and when he sees them on the street, he looks the other way. Familiar looking strangers ain't got nothing to say. Jill spends her paycheck at a breakneck speed. It's half on boots and it's half on feed. Then she spends a third half she ain't got yet, living a life she wants to forget. And it's been a long time since homeschool, and well, sometimes you just get bored. You work your whole life to look that cool. Mamaw's angels ain't angels anymore. Tell me, Papa, where did we go wrong? Never wanted our babies to sing rock and roll songs. Look at them up there, shaking around on that stage. I wish they'd cut their hair and act their age. And you know that much coffee ain't good for your soul. It'll make you grow bitter, it'll make you grow cold. It'll give you the shakes, and then you're gonna spill. If the caffeine don't kill you, the creamer will. And it's been a long time since homeschool, and well, sometimes you just get bored. You work your whole life to look so cool. Mama's angels ain't angels anymore.
Thank you very much. So that was more or less the title track off of my latest record album, Mamaw's Angel. We'll keep on rolling with them. When mine don't feel like mine own. Every weekend, hey, I'm here means I'm gone to my home away from home. Now, I'm not perfect, but I do what I can. I'm not perfect, and it's more than she can stand. I'll fix our problems with a brand new chunk of land, with my home away from home. Whoa, to have a home away from home. Why should we talk about what I think through alone? And if we're gonna scream and shout, we'll do it through the phone. From my home away from home, away from home. that against the law? Oh, how it irks me when she tries to take my straw. One way to work around another busted jaw. Run to my home away from home. Oh, to have a home away from home. A brand new back porch when mine don't feel like mine own. Every weekend, hey, I'm here means I'm gone, I'm gone, I'm gone. To my home away from home, away from home. It's just another spider in the rain. I promise you this time I'll really flush it all down the drain. In my home away from home, these appetites will settle down, never more to roam. Just a few more weeks to be the man she's never, ever, ever known. In my home away from home, away from, oh, I need a home away from home. A home away from home, away from home. Very much. It's home away from home. This next one, I set out to write a love song, not necessarily about the moon landing having been faked, but from the perspective of someone who definitely doesn't believe that it happened. I don't really know what that even means, so I don't know if I did it or not, but here's what we came up with. What if we went to the moon? Well, what if we went to the moon? Laughed at our troubles through a telescope's view. What used to sit heavy won't weigh nothing at all. Everything looks so small. What if we went to the moon? And what if we took off tonight? Won't look like we left if we leave on a light. The world is far brighter when you're high in the stars. Never could it get so far in some dirty old car. What if we went to the moon? Somewhere between the plan and the dream, our wishing star came crashing down. Nothing worth having will fall at our feet. Why should we keep them on the ground? And what if we never come back? Extend our lunar vacation, feigning Martian attack. We'll eat all the cheese that our fat jaws can chew. Skip out on the bill in a saucer for two. When space gets too small, we'll run from it too. What if we went to the moon? Hope we never do. Put that back on there. This next song I wrote with a good friend of mine named Jacob Davis Martin about a little cabin he has on some family land in North Georgia in a town called Suches. It's my understanding, as the story goes, his great-great-uncle built this cabin for his great-great-aunt. Beautiful two-story log cabin made out of cedar. Everything you think of when you think of a log cabin as a little kid. Beautiful spot as a testament of love for his wife. But it's a bit of a tragedy because it's, as the story goes, his great-great-aunt was not much of an outdoors person. So she really never spent any time at that cabin at all. These days, Jake and I go down there to drink good beer and write bad songs, and this is one of them. Such is life in such is Georgia. My daddy's mama's brother built this cabin for his wife. She's never slept a single night up here in her life. But the fruit that fell on down the family tree shows that she tried. Such is life and such is Georgia, such a lucky fool am I. Those houseflies take their name from their size and not their dwelling. The mosquitoes sure are friendly, long as you don't mind the swelling. They buzz all day but night time, boy, you've never heard such quiet. Such is life and such is Georgia, such a lucky fool am I. Now if you're tired and worried about what tomorrow's gonna bring you, just build a fire, listen to the sleepy song the river sings you. Learn a thing or two no school could ever teach you. Oh, such is life and such is Georgia, such a lucky fool am I. Teach 'em something. Smirk and cheat and steal, I've learned how not to cry. Better crook than coward underneath those city lights. I reckon that I'll get to know myself now that I've got the time. Such is life and such is Georgia, such a lucky fool am I. Such is life and such is Georgia, such a lucky fool am I. C'est la vie and such is Georgia, such a lucky fool am I.
Well, that's a pretty cool little song, I think. I like that. I wouldn't
Thank
call
you.
that a bad song.
Oh, well. There's been plenty of
I
better
mean,
ones.
really, only good songs can come from good beer.
That's true.
The way I see it. It's great to have you here. I really do enjoy your music a lot.
Thank you. I
Thanks,
appreciate
guys.
that.
Sounds really terrific. So why don't we start off with you, Chris? I wonder if you might give us a little sort of understanding of North Carolina geography. You know, I figured I would sort of get into it and make sure I knew where everything was, but I really don't know where Appalachian State is versus, Asheville. And so maybe,
Sure.
where did you grow up?
Well, I grew up in Morganton. I guess kind of the Linville Gorge is the best way to differentiate between the two. They kind of splits the two towns up, and I grew up in the bottom of it, so right in the middle of the two.
Yeah, so what
Western
kind
North
what kind of area was that? Was it rural
Blue Ridge
setting?
Mountains, in the foothills, right at the bottom of the mountains. Kind of I suppose you'd call it rural. Yeah, pretty rural, I guess. It wasn't when I was growing up, but then I guess once I got out, I realized maybe we weren't so big. Yeah, so in the beautiful Blue Ridge Mountains.
And you go to small school? Were you homeschooled?
No, not
okay.
at all.
All right, go ahead. I heard that in your song earlier.
Yeah, my girlfriend was, and
Uh-huh.
I probably wouldn't have written that song if I had met her before. So we got in early. No, I went to public school, Freedom High School. 400 students in my graduating class. I believe.
That's a good sized school.
Yeah, not too shabby.
Yeah, not at all. So, but music for you started before high school, right?
Yeah,
You were
8th
back in
grade.
your middle school years.
Yep.
And what is this about flamenco guitar ensembles at age 13?
Oh man, that's just how I started learning guitar. I was a classical guitarist starting off. Took lessons at the recreation center downtown. It was like $100 a month, which is like a pretty darn good deal.
Well, it is a good deal. What in the world drew 8th grade kid to classical guitar lessons? Was that encouragement from your family, or?
That was frankly just the budget-friendly aspect. When you're starting on ground zero, it doesn't really matter where you go. I learned the fundamentals, and that was it really was just kind of what was available at the time. Yep.
So did that create for you a really good foundation for sort of understanding the instrument and knowing the instrument, knowing the fretboard?
Yeah, I think so.
Technique, good hand technique.
For sure.
And,
Yeah. Paying attention to those fundamentals, for sure.
Learning to use your fingers.
Yep. And that's really how I learned to read music. Not well, still don't read it well, but it's where it started.
Wow. And what do you remember about the guy who taught you? Is that somebody who you remember well, or was he just a guy who sort of guided you into something that became a life?
No, he was great.
yeah.
Miguel Pico was his name, and he was the real deal. He didn't get paid much at all to do what he did. He just did it because he loved it. And he was a good fella.
Nice. And so then take us into your high school years with music. Did you stay interested in classical music?
I kind
In
of
high school?
I kind of held on to it for a little bit.
Did people know you as a guy who plays classical guitar by the time you
Not
were 18?
really.
Or, no.
No.
Okay.
No, not at all.
Okay.
That's the thing. I hate to say, maybe interested in classical music wasn't applicable. It was more just interested in learning the guitar, and that was the avenue that got me into it.
Gotcha.
As I was in high school, I sort of just kept self-teaching the stuff I was more interested in, and had another fella named Steve Blanton in Western North Carolina who sort of taught me, I guess, this basic blues guitar sort of stuff. So it was pretty well-rounded guitar instruction, I guess.
It sounded like you were unusually focused and directed as a middle and high schooler. I mean, the way you tell the story, it sounds like you really had a pretty clear idea about what you liked, and were able to sort of stick with it.
Yeah, I think so. I wasn't really interested in too much other than guitar.
Ah.
So whatever else I could, whatever I could do to get better at that, I think was just what I was pursuing.
And the music that happened for you at home, did you grow up in a home where there were lots of different kinds of music played? Was this, when I think about the music of North Carolina, I don't really know where I go.
Yeah.
North
Randy
Carolina's such an
Travis.
interesting. Yeah, right. Right.
Yeah, no, real, and honestly, I don't come from a very musical family. I don't know if you can tell, but
That did not occur to me. No.
but no, it's growing up. I think my mom listened to a lot of music, and she did sing. She sang in her church choir all through her childhood. But I guess the thing that first actually piqued my interest musically would have been just the Beatles and Elvis. She had 2 CDs that she just kind of kept in steady rotation, and
Did you learn all the lyrics as a kid?
Yeah. And then really before I started playing guitar, I just picked up a harmonica and would come home, this is I'm 10 years old maybe, and just try and sit and figure out Beatles melodies to blow out on a harmonica.
Well, there was some harmonica in the early Beatles. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Love Me Do. But that's kind of where it started, I guess.
And so at what point in time did you decide that you wanted to go the direction of jazz studies at UNC? Was this just to sort of expand your harmonic knowledge, or what did you want to get out of a jazz program?
Well, it was, pretty much, I guess, if you're going to school for music, most places it's jazz or classical. And it was, jazz and contemporary versus classical. And I, like I said, wasn't entirely interested in classical. It's just how it started. So I figured the jazz education would be a better way to become a more well-rounded improviser and playmate.
Yeah. And were you thinking at that point when you did your first jazz instruction, were you encouraged? Did you feel like you arrived there well equipped to tackle the program?
Not at all.
Yeah. Tell me about that.
It was intimidating.
Yeah,
honestly, it was quite intimidating to get up there. And like I said, I wasn't the best at reading music, and was also quite introverted. So those are kind of bad combinations to have.
So you remember it being kind of stressful, that initially starting off there.
Yeah.
Quite. But you had creative writing that you did, right? You were also in sort of as a writing minor, and were you finding sort of a comfortable, peaceful place in that program?
Yeah. It's I guess when I did 2 years at UNC Asheville, and by my final semester, even though on paper I was a music major, I wasn't taking any music classes. I was just in the English department, kind of biding my time. I knew I was already on my way out. So, but yeah, the English program was a lot more welcoming to me, I guess. Which I'm not trying to make it sound like I was, again, a lot of the problems were my own problems, not external factors. But I definitely felt like I fit better with the English path.
Okay, so then you went from Western North Carolina to the gorge. What was the name of the gorge area?
Across the Linville Gorge.
So how far is that from Asheville?
Not far. It's it's funny how the mountains work. It's, I think, maybe as the crow flies, 60 miles.
Okay,
but
so
it
you
takes
had
you 2 hours to get there.
Oh, sure. So you had a lot of people then from your high school who probably went to UNC.
Well, actually, no.
Or no? Huh.
I went there, large part, I was excited to be the only person.
Oh, that's surprising.
To not know anybody. I was like, let's get up here and just start over maybe. Or just throw myself into the unknown and,
I would have thought that Asheville would be the big city where, aspiring music kids would go. Where was the alternative to that for other kids who were really into music and wanted to pursue that?
Well,
Was
I guess
it Appalachian State? Or?
That's the thing. I really didn't grow up with very many musical people.
Yeah.
The people who did pursue music in college went to Appalachian to
pursue more of an education path. They were more into the concert band type stuff, and
Public school,
Yeah.
music educators.
yep.
Oh.
And App's a good program for that, good school for that. But I was really just interested in writing songs,
Huh.
which remains true.
But it seems like the writing that you do is sort of takes the short story, the condensed short story form. You talk about being sort of impacted by songwriters like Paul Simon. I would love to talk about that. And Dylan, and you mentioned maybe Tom Petty. When I contrast Petty and Paul Simon, I think Paul Simon is a guy who they're compositions. I
Yeah.
think of Simon's stuff as compositions.
Yeah.
And I think of Petty's stuff as songs.
Yeah.
And it seems like you sort of found that middle space, but your songs are really elaborate.
I reckon so.
They really are, yeah.
I think that's certainly more the Paul Simon thing. Something I love about Paul Simon is, you hit the nail on the head with their compositions. Like, I think it's important to, if you're a guitar player, to kind of, well, I'm rambling.
No, go. No, that's all right.
A thing my buddy told me is a song needs good bones, which means it needs to stand on its own between the instrument and the voice, or really, I guess, just the voice, as well as it does with a fleshed out band or whatever. And so, yeah, Paul Simon, his songs all have good bones.
Oh, man. You think you got a favorite Paul Simon? Do you like Rhythm of the Saints and
Dude, really?
or do you like the early Paul Simon? You like all of it?
I like it all, man.
Yeah,
I got
me
the
too.
The complete studio album set in college, and just like had it on repeat. Rhythm of the Saints is a cool one to mention, though. Not a lot of it came right after Graceland, I think. Right?
Oh.
People don't talk about it, but I remember the first time I heard Obvious Child.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's an amazing song.
Yeah, I listened to it all the way from Asheville to Boone. Like, I just had it on a loop. It just blew my mind.
And have you heard his classical versions of some of his songs from Rhythm of the Saints? Like
I haven't.
Yeah, oh, you must listen to that. Like,
Okay.
I Can't Run, but that song. Yeah. It's just beautiful. You would love it.
Cool.
Too, Joel.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
Amazing. Yeah.
Thank you.
Wow. So I have a hunch that you listen to other musicians other than Paul Simon and Petty and Dylan.
Sure.
Yeah. Who else do you like to listen to?
Well, I mean, John Prine.
Yeah, right. We didn't mention Prine.
Yeah, one of my tops.
Oh, really?
A big influence on this latest album actually was probably equal parts Warren Zevon and Randy Newman. Specifically, Randy Newman, I really love his character writing, how he can just hop in the mind of somebody else and totally occupy a different space than one that is autobiographical.
Yeah, right.
And, it's fun how he can say one thing, but he means another, and it just gets really, really funky, real heady if you just keep diving down those, layers.
And then you don't get much more absurd than Warren Zevon.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just nuts.
Dude, I have driven these two fellas crazy, actually, with my playlist contributions, because it's just a bunch of the weirdest Randy Newman and Warren Zevon stuff.
I'd love to hear that. That's
You
a
got-
playlist you got to share with me.
Yeah, for sure. We'll do. I'll shoot
Yeah.
you the link.
Well, let's get back to some music. Chris McGinnis is our guest this evening on Red Barn Radio. We have more people up here to meet Chandler on bass and Joel playing great fiddle over there, violin. So let's get back to music, and then we'll talk some more later. All right, Chris McGinnis.
This next song might be the saddest story I know. It's about a fella whose daddy doesn't know him, his mama won't look at him, and his siblings hate him. It's called The Mailman's Son.
I'm the mailman's son. I'm the only one. Of my brothers three, who my mama's ashamed to see, 'cause my daddy don't look like me. I'm the mailman's son. Cold snow and rain, brought my mama pain. Heat and gloom found their way into my daddy's bedroom. Swift completion done a little too soon, made the mailman's son. I'm doing fine, kicking on down the line, free, picking up speed. There's no return address on me. I'm not the mailman's son.
This next one is actually a cover. It's by my friend Jacob Davis Martin. You might remember him from earlier in this set. This one he wrote entirely on his own. It's about a failed Elvis Presley impersonator. It's called Helpless Elvis.
He was a helpless Elvis impersonator. Not enough pelvis, and he could seldom remember the words. And he seldom had words of his own. He worked the casinos near Reno, the most desperate kind. Heart-shaped jacuzzis, the booziest drinks you could find. Helpless Elvis could never stay dry. Helpless Elvis on stage, you're alone. Can't find a voice that quite sounds like his own. He's not helpless 'cause he's an Elvis, or because he's flat broke. He's helpless 'cause his story's already been told. She was a night walker, sweet talker, playing games at the bar. But she shelved it and let Elvis walk the floors of her heart. As they walked home at 7 a.m. There was no love making, no taking him into her room. They just bickered and wished for a time when the truth was a half-decent thing to pursue. Helpless Elvis on stage, you're alone. Can't find a voice helpless cause he's an Elvis, or because he's flat broke. He's helpless cause his story's already been told. If he were more charming, if she were house trained, they'd live out their lives without having to face the cracks in our conscience that keep the bills paid. New town, new stage, but the song stays the same. Helpless Elvis on stage alone, can't find a voice that quite sounds like his own. He's not helpless cause he's an Elvis, or because he's flat broke. He's helpless cause his story's already been told. He's helpless cause his voice was never his own. He's helpless cause his story's already been told.
Helpless Elvis by Jacob Davis Martin. Great songwriter and a great friend. So, I used to work at a campground in the Linville Gorge. Travel trailers, tents, motorhomes, that sort of thing. Pretty popular vacation destination. We had a couple there one summer who, the man was there a little longer than he anticipated. It's halfway through the trip. Paradise was lost. They started going through it. So his woman, his partner, left the trip a little early. Left him there to figure out his situation. And he went out to the store one afternoon, came back, and where once was a Winnebago was an empty plot of grass. It turns out while he was gone, she came and took that home too. So we call this the motorhome blues.
She said, to hell with you, Jerry, I ain't sticking around here no more. This whole place smells like cigarettes. Those boots are tracking mud on the floor. You haven't kept an honest job in 7 whole years. You're dressing like a slob and you're not cleaning out your ears. Now I like you a lot, but I think it's time to get away. That rig's been resting on the front lawn like a thrush come home to roost. Nurse a broken wing, gather up its things and put those wings right back to use. And maybe for the first time, no place else to be, Melinda kicked that Winnebago into 4-wheel drive. Spinning tires soon broke free. She got to move, got those motorhome blues. Got to move, those motorhome blues. She got to move, those motorhome blues. And I don't know where she goes. I don't know where she goes. Memories of the bygone used to be. They're boxed up in the attic of a house she never liked but had to have so she could leave. She didn't need that yappy lap dog. She didn't need that picket fence. I bet she's playing leapfrog westbound down the interstate with a red Mercedes-Benz. Gold dots and rusting in the backyard. This can't be where my story ends. Scratched up in a bed of roses, screaming at the stars, and scaring off all of my friends. Now there's a monster in the closet where some sweaters used to hang. There's a silence in the shower where my sweetheart used to sing. There's a sinkhole in my chest, it's got my breath, it's got my breath, it's got my She got to move, got those motorhome blues. Got to move, those motorhome blues. She got to move, those motorhome blues. And I don't know where she goes. I don't know where she goes. I don't know where she goes. So safe and so smart, so deaf to the pounding of a beating heart. And when it finally explodes, that blood might wash out the road. She got to move, got those motorhome blues. She got to move, those motorhome blues. She got to move, those motorhome blues. She got to move. And I don't know where she goes. I don't know where she goes. I don't know where she goes.
All right. Nice. Well, folks, stick around because we've got lots more music and conversation with Chris McGinnis. But I do want to take a moment to remind listeners that Red Barn live streams, both tonight's and on any given Wednesday, remain available online for you to view at your convenience, along with our audio stream, compliments of WGAD.net in Central New York. Don't miss a single episode of our program, and please be sure to tell your friends and share what it is that you like about Red Barn Radio. We like you. Hey, Shelby Lore is a rock trio based from Ashland, Kentucky, with a new single out titled Trip and Fall. When crafting music for his band, Shelby draws from a number of influences, from Leonard Skinner and Social Distortion to Stevie Ray Vaughan and even Waylon Jennings. He's our guest next week. He formed the group with bass player Tyler Kaiser and drummer Lukey Stepp in 2019, and they released their first album, No Name Town, in 2020, followed by Great Unknown in 2021. Their new single, Trip and Fall, is a high-energy ride replete with psychedelic music breaks and Shelby's hot guitar licks. You're going to love this band, so let's get together next Wednesday night for some good Kentucky roots music, Southern style. That's next week in studio and on Red Barn Radio's live stream, 7 p.m. Eastern in North America. Now let's get back to tonight's Red Barn Radio program. We welcome you live on our social media platforms, broadcasting from the Arts Place Performance Hall here in the grand city of Lexington, Kentucky. Welcome back, Chris McGinnis.
We're going to do a song by a friend of mine named Jack Marion and his band, the Pearl Snap Prophets. It's called Family Funeral.
When they finally laid her down, all the tears were cried, love was found. I just stood there staring at the stone. Preacher read John 3:16, said he died 'cause he loved me. Put down the work, it is done. We all moved from the church to the cars, and we parked them out on the front yard. Acted like nothing had really changed. Tell me, why do we always meet this way? Mama made some sweet iced tea, and so did Aunt Josephine, along with a tray of deviled eggs. JR stepped outside to smoke. If he ain't quit now, then I guess he won't. He's too old to even care. We all moved from the table to the couch, and we let joy and laughter both finally ring out. See all the people here that I've missed. Tell me, why do we always meet like this? We all went our separate ways, packed up those Fords and Chevrolets, turned left and right, headed on back home. That's the thing about my family, we only come together when we have to grieve, and we never seem to stay very long. All the kids are moving out, nephews and uncles don't know each other now. So why don't you come on by again? All before we have to bury you instead. All before we have to bury you instead.
This next one is a brand new one. It's called Lily in the Weeds.
Well, I found gold down by the riverbank, but it weren't enough to keep. I found gold down by the riverbank, it weren't enough to keep. Wolf howling in the thicket, breath smells just like sheep. All I can hear's my wild lily in the weeds. I read a promise carved in cedar wood, covered up in vine. A promise carved in cedar wood, tangled up in vine. Isaiah's open highway was not laid for heels like mine. I dropped down to my knees, plucked my lily from the weeds. Now the sky may fall and crumble, the sea may turn to ash. sky may fall and crumble, the sea may turn to ash. When stride gives way to stumble, oh, there ain't no going back. It's a dark and futile plea, protect my lily from the weeds. Well, I found gold down by the river bank, but it weren't enough to keep. I found gold down by the river bank, but it weren't enough to keep. It's a bull's walk down to the butcher's shop, make a man feel just like meat. Blood on my blue billy returned my lily to the weeds. All blood on my blue billy returned my lily to the weeds. Thank you very much. Doing all right, Joel?
Oh, yeah. Fabulous.
Doing all right, Chan?
Doing great.
All right. This next one's about a tree I know. Look there, old chestnuts frontin' like an oak, weeping like a willow. Yeah, I bet he's gonna soak up all that rain into his pillow while he's lying neath a holy umbrella. Old chestnut won't make it to the end, his boughs are bound to break in a mean and dreadful wind. I say we chop him up and haul him out, then we chop him up again, leave his roots buried deep behind him. Wood never dies, wood never dies, wood never dies. Chestnut ain't no cedar, pine, or cypress. His trunk is much too knotty, his crown is much too fibrous. He's too dirty for a queen, oh, he's too soft for a mistress. He'll make his way to some peasant's table. I saw old Chestnut in a stool off 95. Oh, he was wobbling like a fool, couldn't stand to save his life. Broke the golden rule and let the road keep passing by. After all, old Chestnut never knew me. Wood never dies, wood never dies, wood never dies. Would never die. Wood never dies.
Old chestnut.
All right. So I wonder if, did you decide ultimately that this sort of Americana or something that sort of bordered on country, you don't have to label your music in any particular genre, but did you ultimately feel that this was a form that you found that would sort of allow you to I kind of meld your literary interests and the musical diversity that you sort of feel also?
I think
Was this the best canvas for that?
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
versus straight jazz. Or,
yeah,
right.
yeah. I mean, yeah. It's funny, you know, playing around different places. See everything from folk rock, country, Americana,
Sure.
alt folk. It's, you know, and
What do you like best?
I'm cool with all of it, really.
Yeah. What do you like best?
I guess I tell people folk rock, I suppose.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know, when you get down to it, really, I'm just a singer-songwriter, I think, and you know, whatever shape the song, you know, starts as and comes out as is just what it's gonna be, you know. Which Paul Simon's a big influence in that regard, you know. I don't know what you would call his genre outside of singer-songwriter.
Right. So do you play venues? Do you tend to play venues, Chris, where you feel people are going to listen to your stories?
I hope so. I prefer.
Well, yeah, sure.
I like. Yeah. I mean,
these are not stories to be digested, you know, with a lot of loud, you know,
yeah,
stuff going on. You know.
Yeah, for sure.
You want to be able to listen.
The shows where people show up for the music are absolutely the most rewarding, and they are the ones I try to pursue more and more.
Yeah.
You know, brewery music, I guess, where we're at. This first time playing Kentucky, so I don't know.
Oh, it is. All right. Well, welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right.
But, you know, speaking from my experience around North Carolina, a lot of brewery stuff, for the most part, you're kind of playing covers and background music, and it's decent enough place to, you know, try different things with my songs, because if I mess up, I don't know how much it really matters in the grand scheme, but not so much for telling stories.
Yeah. Well, the recording you did, Mamaw's Angel, is, I mean, it kicks off with, well, you do there's something like a prologue or whatever. What was the first?
Invocation.
No, sorry, Invocation. That's right. It was like a church kind of feel to it. But then came Mamaw's Angel, which is just rocks. I mean, it's great. It sounds like kind of comes off like, you know, Creedence a little bit, and I want to hear there in North Carolina. I think of Southern culture on the Skids.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. I mean, like
yeah.
I hear some of that there. I could hear that
killer.
being sort of a lockdown for one of their tunes. But it's a great start to the album, and then the album goes crazy. I mean, you know, the song, you know, Why Don't We Go to the Moon, or that song. Name it again. What's the
What If We Went to the Moon?
What If We Went to the Moon?
We just refer to it internally as the Moon Song.
The Moon Song. So the Moon Song is wild. And so when you went into the studio, you wanted to create something, you know, that's very different from this. And do you ever take the sound that you created on Mamaw's Angel in the studio in Georgia, do you ever take that out? Like with a drummer, bass, lead guitar, fiddle?
Well, that's the hard part about gigging at this level. It's, you know, people should be paid.
Ideally,
can't always afford the full ensemble. But I guess, ideologically, getting down to it, I don't really care about translating the sound from the record live, because I really don't believe that's something that can be done at all anyways. And it's not always right. It's not always the right sound.
Not always, but I think it can be. I mean, I think you can. I think you can do that if you want to do it, or else you can also have two entirely different musical, creative experiences, right?
Maybe there's 19 guitar tracks on Home Away from Home.
Okay.
I think, know?
All right. Yeah, you're right. I don't think you're going to duplicate that.
No.
Some of that complex stuff.
No, maybe somebody out there can, but nah. I guess performing this way feels, I don't want to say more honest, but there's just something that really appeals to me about having one guitar, fiddle, bass. Maybe we have a drummer, maybe not. It just is feels a lot more lived in, maybe.
Right.
It is easier to control dynamics, really, than pulling out the 10-piece or whatever, you know.
Yeah, I mean, and you're not playing a booming guitar, you're playing an arch top, and,
Yeah.
and it's, you know, it's you got to listen to it.
Sure.
And I love the way you play it. What is that instrument? It's a really neat looking,
Look at that capo.
beautiful instrument.
Yeah, it's an Epiphone Masterbuilt. I've got 2 solid, just plain acoustic Masterbuilts because I love the first one so much. I got a second that I use primarily for gigging. And
Is the first one real old?
No, they're all like 20. I think they're all 2009 to 2013. So I guess they're getting older, but.
Yeah.
I was on tour with my buddy Jack a couple months ago, played up at the Purple Fiddle in West Virginia.
Yeah.
There's a music store right down the street, so we checked it out on our way out the morning after the show and walked in, saw an Epiphone Masterbuilt, and I was like, man, I had no idea they made an arch top. I had been looking for an arch top. Sat down, picked it up, played, and wasn't planning on buying a guitar on tour. But that's what happened.
I think I think there were a lot. I think the arch top is how that company came into being, right?
I think so.
Right. I mean, they had some great ones from the 20s and 30s.
This one is
30s, right.
kind of modeled off of Dave Rawlings has an
right.
original 1930s.
He sold a lot of those.
Yeah. So this one, it's kind of it fits what we're doing pretty well.
It does.
I'm
it's
happy
great.
with it.
And you play it really, really well.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love the sound of it, and it works so great with this ensemble. Let's meet everybody else. Talk about yourself, Chandler. What else do you do in addition to this?
Well, I play a lot of bass. I play bass with a couple bands in Nashville. I'm based in Nashville, and then I work for a popular synthesizer company full time, and so that's my day gig. And then on the weekends, I'd go out with dudes like Chris, and I have a band called Boat Command in Asheville, and a death metal project called Cave Grave. Shout out Boat Command, shout out Cave Grave, shout out Asheville, North Carolina.
Well done, yeah.
But yeah, that's my thing. I work and I play bass, and that's my deal. Chris, I'm gonna embarrass Chris. Chris and I met. We grew up in we went to rival high schools. We grew up 15 minutes away from each other. We met because our moms taught school together like 5 years ago, and we've been buds ever since. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. How'd you get into the upright? Because it sounds like a lot of the other projects you do would be just electric bass, not just electric bass, but,
Yeah, the upright bass. I started when I was, I guess I was 18. I'm 25 now. I started my freshman year at Appalachian State. I was in the music industry program, and I wanted to be in the jazz band. I played electric, and I was in the big band in high school, and the upright bass was like sort of required for the big band at App, and I just started taking lessons immediately. I just really wanted to learn, and since then I still play a lot of electric bass, but the upright's my favorite. It always will be my favorite for sure.
Yeah, you're right on it. What did you want to do with the music business program? And did you pursue that, finish that out?
Yeah, I did. I finished the music business program, and I did an internship with Moog Synthesizers in Asheville.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
And I just stuck with them, and I've been there since I graduated. And yeah, so I had a merchandising concentration. So I was I was learning about like how the music merchandise industry, like gear and stuff like that in school. So it translated very well to what I ended up pursuing in my full-time career,
Wow. What have you learned working at the synthesizer company?
I think that gear, I've learned about this thing that's sort of subjective. It's sort of like...
We've got some synthesizer lovers in the house here, by the way.
That there can be a magic to a piece of musical gear that I think is hard to pin down, but it objectively exists. You know what I mean? That there are certain there's just like certain gear that will speak to people like for whatever reason, and I don't know. There's this magic there's this subjective but objective magic that exists in musical instruments, and it exists in analog synthesizers and basses and guitars. And I guess if you're hearing this resonates with you, you find that guitar that feels like the one for you. It is. There's something there to that. That's what I learned working for that company in particular. That there is a magic, like there is the one, like the guitar, you know.
That goes with
like
the
that.
way your body interacts with it.
I think so. Like
Yeah.
the way you play, like the music you want to listen to, like how you want to sound, like there's definitely like a little more going on under the surface with that. I don't know. I feel like I've learned that in the gear industry, and it's fascinating and really cool. And this bass is a good example of it. I've had it since I started. This is the first bass I ever got, and I'm probably just gonna play it until it explodes. You know. So yeah.
I love that. It sounds to me like you learned something really big, really fast.
Maybe.
Really? No, I mean it's amazing. Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. Thanks.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank
No,
you,
that's
yeah.
great. Yeah. Love hearing you talk about that. All right, and Joel.
Hey there.
Finally, hi. Love your playing, and would love to hear you talk a little bit about your sort of music journey, how you arrived at this sort of style. I mean, you have a real distinct style. Yeah.
I don't know. I got started when I was 8. Started off with like bluegrass, old time stuff.
Where'd that come from? At 8 years old, who told you to do that?
Probably my oldest brother. Like my only distinct memory of before I played violin, fiddle, violin, whatever. I was sitting back there. He was on the computer and he was listening to, I think, Nickel Creek.
Oh,
Nickel
good one.
Creek and like early Bela Fleck, stuff like that. And it was like, ooh, what's that? And just from that, it was like, you know what? Maybe I wanna do some little fiddle things. And so started up with some lessons, moved instructors around some.
Initiated by, I mean, you were little. Your parents said, let's do some music. Let's
I think
incorporate that into your life.
I think before that, my mom plays flute, piano, some things like that. My dad says some recording things that he told himself. And it started before violin, before fiddle. It started with my mom trying to teach me piano for maybe about a month or two. And it's like, okay, maybe this isn't going to work. Maybe.
What didn't work for you? And do you remember?
The dynamics. But no, it was good.
You mean the dynamics between you and your mother? Or
Yeah, just
right.
in a lesson environment.
Okay, yeah, sure. Okay,
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Love my mom.
Love your mom.
Love your moms.
I love my mom
But-
as well.
In a lesson environment wasn't working. But anyways, so I started doing some fiddle things, and then I hit on a prolific instructor that like really changed the way that I viewed the world, I viewed music. Just
What happened there?
he was just, I don't know how to put it other than a real soulful dude. We would just go in there and he really freed me up because I always have had like a really distinct, like I just do a lot of improv. I just hear a lot of things in my head. And there were a lot of several of the instructors that, would have for maybe like 3 months, 4 months, half a year, something like that. It was this thing that they saw and acknowledged, but it wasn't the style that they taught. And I kept getting referred to different instructors, stuff like that, until I found JB Prince. And I would get there and get into lessons, and it would just be, he would play, like a passage, and I would just spend, maybe 10, 15 minutes trying to find the spirit of that passage. And, it was a lot of me playing a lot, and then him selectively playing, maybe try it this way. Maybe try and have it sound and feel more like this, and just really developing my ear.
So you were, gotcha. So but it was all a musical experience. There wasn't any vocal, there wasn't any lyric involved. It was all about the interaction between.
Yeah.
And he was also playing, was he playing violin or viola? Or
Fiddle.
Oh.
Definitely fiddle.
Gotcha,
Yeah,
okay.
that was in the time he started me up on going to Galax, doing some the youth competitions.
Oh,
stuff
really?
Like that.
How'd that go?
Well, I got 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
Really? What age?
From when I was
little
like
kid?
12 to like 15, maybe 11 to 15. I don't know, something like that.
Wow. That's
But-
fun. The fiddle contest scene.
Yeah.
That's a great one. Did you learn a lot there doing that? Was it a performance that you learned and working through your
that's-
nerves and all that?
That's when I started to realize that I loved performing.
Huh.
Is getting up there and like that whole process of dealing with self when you're performing, where it's like, you know, you
Yes,
can think
right.
about it beforehand, you can think about it afterhand, but during the middle of it, nothing else matters.
Yeah.
And
When you're performing, like you're very engaged with the sound coming out of your instrument.
yeah.
You know, I see you just sort of working stuff out in your head while you're playing. But in a fiddle contest, right, they oftentimes will do blind judging. Did they do that at Galax, or did the people actually stare at you
Yeah.
while you were playing?
Yeah, it was not blind judging.
Have you ever done been any place where they did blind judging?
For like like auditions for like classical stuff at school and things,
Yeah.
for like placements in orchestra and whatnot. But
And so where do you go from here with your playing? What do you have some sort of places that you'd like to go? Do you have in
Yes.
mind? Where?
yeah, here recently I've started to pull a lot of inspiration from both visual element, you know, like video editing, photography, stuff like that, and drawn works, painted works, you know, like just a lot of things outside of like music itself. I've been having a really good time really exploring those. And I'd also do like a little bit of production things and stuff like that. So really trying to explore these either very emotional, experiential concepts through using, whether it's violin, viola, cello, whatever.
You play all stringed instruments?
I play some and then pretend to play others. So,
Wow. Well, we really enjoyed you guys, Chris, Chandler, and Joel. Thanks for coming. It's great to welcome you to Kentucky, and hope this isn't your last visit here. We welcome you back anytime.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And I'm glad that we aren't saying goodbye right now, because you got some more music to play. So let's welcome back Chris McGinnis, Chandler Bell, and Joel Nelson.
This one's just called Tuesday. Well, it's Tuesday, and it's raining. There's no better way of explaining this lonesome feeling. Has me feeling so alone. I've been lonesome before. I've gone without 7 billion people or more. Why am I such a mess after losing just the one? And the sky is bound to explode. I'm swerving all over the road. If I could find her and remind her why she ever fell for me. It's Tuesday, it won't stop raining, and I've got better things to do than complain about this lonesome feeling, how I'm feeling so alone. Thank you very much. This next one's about my hometown. It's about going home.
Heaven above, what happened to that girl I used to love? There she is with 3 little kids, and my best friend Jack, ain't none of them his. We've got a one-stop light, it changes slow. It's quick to grab you, and it won't let go. I've gotta get out, head on down the road. I'm seeing too many faces I used to know. You can't hide in a small town. You can't hide in a small town. Reverend Bill comes at you without warning, asking why you weren't in church this morning. I bumped heads with that old high school heartthrob. Take a look at him now, you think, oh man, that's a blood clot. Sometimes I see old friends of mine. Some of them are working 9 to 5. Some of them are serving 5 to 9. And some are lucky to say they're alive. You can't hide in a small town. You can't hide in a small town. In this town where my innocence fell, sometimes I still hear echoes of my old self. I can't help but sit back and laugh when I look at these people who are living in photographs. And when you walk those streets alone, over the water, through fields of stone, in perilous jungles, wherever you roam, that town you left behind still feels like home. You can't hide in a small town. 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 Now I know that you want to carry me back to a small town. I know that you want to carry me back to a small town. Yes, I know that you want to carry me back to a small town. I know that you want to carry me back to You Can't Hide in a Small Town. I reckon we got just one or two more. This one's self-titled from my first release. Well, not self-titled, but I reckon the title track. You know, semantics. Took that extra year for the English degree. Needed it. Didn't do too much for me, I guess. Songs for you, about you, and with you in mind. Dream that I was a mountain and you were a cloud. Well, I stood my ground, you flew right around it. Can't stand to think of it now. I called your name and you started to rain, making rivers of creeks and of streams. I woke with a jolt, mud on my face, tired of such nightmarish dreams. Over and over these words like a boulder they tumble, just won't sit right. Tired of talking, keep on walking, deeper through shadows in the night. I find sweet relief with your hand on my cheek, and in warmth from legs intertwined. I'll try to sing what I cannot speak, songs for you, about you, and with you in mind. It's a miracle and a mystery how you stood right there next to me. Surely those days haven't gone. And now it's lyrical, there's a melody I hope you receive. These love letters shaped just like songs. There are songs I once knew that remind me of you. And like a hummingbird, I won't hold them in. I hold no disdain. I hope to sing them again. I hope you're listening wherever you are. I'm laying in bed, new tunes in my head, tossing to the rhythm and the rhyme. No tear will be shed over words left unsaid. They're music now for willing ears, unburdened by time. I've told you how I love you, dear. I hope that you find songs for you, about you, and with you in mind. Songs for you, about you, and with you in mind. Songs for you, about you, and with you in mind. Songs for you, about you, and with you in mind.
Wow. Great song. Well, there are so many people to thank for our program. First, Chris McGinnis and his band, Chandler and Joel, our guests on tonight's program. Thank you for coming. We are ever grateful for those who volunteer for us, those who work for us week after week, Matt and Zach, and Ethan and William, our production assistants this evening. We thank all of you for listening to our webcast, watching us on social media, and those listening to us on the network of Red Barn stations and media worldwide. Thanks to WEKU, Red Barn Radio's premier radio partner, Central and Eastern Kentucky's radio news leader. You can listen online at weku.org. It's your chance to hear more great live music from Red Barn Radio and WEKU. That's NPR for Central and Eastern Kentucky. Those of you here in the Central Kentucky area, you've got to be sure to check out Red Barn TV. It's our weekly program of music, now on ABC 36 WTVQ. Red Barn Radio comes to you from our home in Lexington at the Arts Place Performance Hall. Our website has updates and further information on our guests in our program. We're on the web at redbarnradio.com. Now, before we close out tonight's program, let's bring back Chris McGinnis and his band for one more number. All right.
Thank you guys so much for having us.
Rest these wandering eyes, I pray. I'm weary to my bones. This driftwood heart of mine ain't got no home. It's an unforgiving road ahead, the only way to go, and I'm afraid I'll have to travel it alone. So hold tight to what you have, my dear, don't you let good love go bad. Speak until there's nothing left to say. And if the words we shared last night aren't upon our lips tomorrow, we'll always have today, sweet Maggie Lowe. That leaf-fringed Grecian urn of yours ain't never held a flower. Picking posies by the prison groves, no way to kill an hour. Punch out tonight and don't go back again. Yeah, we'll dance like it's the last night and dream about the next one, up until the next one never comes. And if the words we shared last night aren't upon our lips tomorrow, we'll always have today, sweet Maggie Low. And if the bed we shared last night is out on the curb tomorrow, I'll make it up today, sweet Maggie Low.
All right, nice. Well, that's all for our show for this week, folks. You can see and hear Red Barn Radio worldwide, though, as we stream live on the web on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch every Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern in North America. You can also listen to archive performances on Patreon, Spotify, iTunes, and so many more. All of your favorite streaming platforms, you'll find us there. And remember, every like, comment, share, and subscribe helps bring Roots Music Southern style to your neck of the woods. And finally this, if any of our featured artists are performing in your area, get out and see them live. They need you now more than ever before. From all of us here at Red Barn Radio to all of our friends worldwide, let's keep working together to be safe and healthy. And until next time, good night from Red Barn Radio.